stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Price?
Here.
Mr. DePaul?
Here.
Mr. Nyland?
Here.
Mr. Nico? Mr. James?
Here.
Mr. Nixon? And Mr. Moore?
We have a quorum. Okay, the reason we're here tonight is because last meeting, Mr. DePaul brought up the grant, which is the Northampton County Investment Partnership Program, also known as CIPP. He thought replacing sidewalks down on Adamson Street and we were fixing roads up on 7th Street, Algona Avenue, I guess it's called, would be a good plan. However, the letter of intent needs to be in by the 31st.
That's wrong.
And according to what the engineer says, that's when the letter of intent has to be.
I already put in the letter of intent. I explained it to everybody at the last meeting.
However,
You weren't paying attention.
I was paying attention, and you are interrupting. I'm not going to have an outburst. We're here to plan and move forward.
I'm trying to save time. You're wasting time.
No, I'm not wasting time. If
The
you don't-
letter
if
of
you don't-
intent was sent in. That's how I got the application.
If you don't want to be here tonight, leave.
If I leave here, there won't be a meeting. Is that what you want?
He wants to start a fight.
Because I already put the letter of intent in. That's how I got the
You
application.
didn't have a cause. I'm not going to just go with anything and just say, yeah, it's going to be $200,000. Let's just do it.
You're talking about the letter of intent and something else.
No, I'm not. I am not talking about that. I am talking about how you apply for a grant. I've been doing it for a number of years now.
So have I, and I already applied for the intent of the application.
Well, let's get through this.
What's the issue, Kelly?
Instead of arguing.
Well, she's trying to say that the letter of intent has to be handed in by July 31st.
For
It's already in.
project.
Westminster was the first borough to put in a
All right,
intent.
you made the point there. Let's get by this. I'd like to get that.
It's always something, it's
I'd like
always
to-
something, Jerry.
I'd like to get this.
Yeah, it is something.
Yeah, because you don't pay attention to everybody else. It don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean nothing to me, Clark. It don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. I put the letter of intent in July 31st.
Dan, listen.
You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. I put the call in on June 31st. You don't know what you're talking
I'm
about.
not away for the thing. I'm done for tonight.
Hey, Tommy, stick around.
Nah, because I'll tell you
You
what.
don't know what you're talking about. You're always shooting off. You don't know what you're talking about.
When did you finally start doing something? That's what I want to know. When did you sat here for 2 years, sat on your ass and did
They've
nothing?
already sent it to us.
That's the truth.
That's the
What's
truth.
the issue ultimately? We're going to adjourn temporarily. It
We're not gonna
is
get that street done if we don't.
74.
Every meeting, it's the same thing.
That's because nobody pays attention to, anybody else. It's only one person that gets the attention.
You're jealous.
I said that I put the I wrote the letter of intent in June. In June, the letter of intent was put in.
We'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll try this again.
Yeah, go have your little private conference.
You do it all the time.
No, you got your little meetings going on before every meeting.
Yeah.
It's the same
Don't
thing.
drink what you're
It's the
drinking.
same thing every meeting. Don't tell me, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
When somebody puts the letter of intent in June, you bring it up, it has to be in by July 31st. It's ridiculous. That's because you didn't pay attention at the last meeting.
So, you know.
Dan, let her finish what she's got to say. She knew
Yeah, I mean, you interrupt her before you even know where she's
Oh,
going.
she said that we had 3 days to get the letter of
Well, let
intent
her
in. It's
explain
not
what she-
true.
The engineer, they met with the engineer, she did personally, met with the engineer.
Yeah, because it's the only person in here that can meet with the engineer.
That's the only,
person.
that's why we pay him, Dan. so he can give us the information we need to get the job done. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in hearing this bullshit.
Well, I like, you know, you like to get bids in, you like to have the street.
That's why I want to hear.
You don't want to tear up the cement, $400,000. $400,000.
Yeah, that's why I want to hear what the hell the engineer said.
Okay, let me explain something before anybody gets back, Jerry. When this grant came out, the deadline to put in for the intent to get the application was the end of June.
To get the application, all right?
Right. So I did that. West Easton was the first to do it.
That's good.
And I got the applications. And then at the meeting in July, they changed it because everybody else didn't have time to put the letter of intent in. So I made a copy of the new paper that says you have now until July. But if you already applied in June, you don't have to because I already did
All
it.
right. Well, if you have that in there, you could have that conversation instead of both you guys yelling at each other.
I explained that at the last meeting, Jerry. That's why you walked out.
I walked out because I'll tell you exactly why I walked out. And I'm going to walk out of a lot more meetings in the future. This is not my MO to sit here and hear screaming and yelling at every meeting and not accomplishing a damn thing for the residents of West Easton. That's what pisses me off, and I'm tired of it. And as far as I'm concerned, is this the way the borough's going to be? Fine. But it's not going to be part of me. And that's the way I feel. You just, as far as I'm concerned, it's very clear what you just explained to me.
Right.
All right? Let the chair say what you're going to say before you know. You're putting words in her mouth before she was even finished with this. And I'm not defending her because don't ever say I defend her because I gave you an opportunity for a solicitor. I could have broke a tie that night if everybody thinks that I'm not fair, but I didn't. I referred to the solicitor for an opinion. Now what I'm saying here is the right thing to do is whatever she had to say, I have no clue because I don't interact in that part of the business anymore. Whatever she had to say, give her a chance to say it for crying out loud.
And then when she was done, you could have said, we don't need to do this.
Yeah, I've been trying to explain that in the office today. I called up the office today and I explained it. Oh, no, you can't explain it to me. You have to explain it to me. I already explained it at the last meeting. If we would send a letter of intent to the county again, they would think we're nuts. Because I already did it in June. And I told everybody in July.
I think what she was trying to get to is what the engineer said. It has nothing to do with your intent. The intent is qualifying that we want to put an application in. But with that application, all the engineering documents.
That's part of the application.
That's where we had to head before we got into this rigmarole again.
You had to put the letter of intent first to get the
I
application.
understand that. Okay. Well, you know,
That's
now as far as I'm concerned, you know I sat in a chair for a long time. And
That's all I got to say. That's it. That's the end.
you let the person
But
that
this
tried to make a
slapping the table
presentation
and
let it make it.
going is
No,
nuts.
So
I
you
just,
have to slake it, that was really good.
I mean, I don't think it's an argument. I think it's
I didn't need to have this meeting, because I don't care if we get a grant or not, because you know what, I won't be
What
here
do you
to
mean
administer it.
me? We're talking about the community. Everything is me
No,
and you
don't-
and me.
You don't understand.
I don't
You
think
know
that
what?
way.
You know what, Nicole?
What? I'm thinking about everybody, not you and
You're
me.
a loser.
You are.
All right.
That's why you lost.
Let's reconvene. Where's Tommy at?
I have no idea.
Good.
They don't need a mayor in this town. They need a goddamn referee.
Well, when somebody does something and they don't understand
Well, you walk in my shoes for the last 50 years. You see, you know what I did.
it, I know how this
Okay,
photo
number
is.
one, this is the point of this thing. The engineer reviewed everything and said the approximate cost for the sidewalks and curbs will be $215,000. The most of the grant you could get is $100,000, being that the borough pays $50,000, of which you cannot use liquid fuels funds for this grant for the sidewalks.
I don't think your meeting needs not here.
All right, well, committee meeting then.
I only called this meeting so that we can get together and have a plan not to scream and yell, and that's the only reason. And I'm not doing it for my own benefit, because I'm not going to be here. I'm doing it for your benefit, so that you can produce and keep producing and keep the momentum up, but obviously you can't.
Well, I
You
don't
don't have.
when I get an email that says we got 3 days to send a letter of intent, that's not your
We
point.
don't know if we're going to have $215,000 to put into sidewalks and curbs. Besides that, the wall up there, if they take out the sidewalks and curbs, the wall will come down, and they want to know if the borough's going to take the liability for replacing those people's walls and lot that's going to move forward.
Where's the
There's a lot that's complicated into this that you just
Where's
cannot,
the walls at?
up on, by the trestle, that
Oh,
big
yeah.
wall,
Okay.
up by that house. Also, I was able to find the bracket that goes on the top of our signs, so we can put our signs in. This fits circle or square. Like 7th Street would be here. This goes on top, and then the cross street goes on top of it. They fit, so if you have a new one, you need to put in a square pole. If it's square, also it has rounded out sides and 4 screws that hold it.
Says it Denise.
Let me say something.
Down with this shit.
Let me say something.
Keep down here. I keep
On
going from vacation.
Addison Street, I have a property down there, and I measured the back curb is 100 feet. The rest of the curbing all the way up to the west side of the bridge is in good shape.
Yeah.
There's not a bad, the sidewalk on both sides of the street, except for what the ramps that belong to the, I don't know, it's a Rita property, or who the hell owns it anymore, Reedman, and the store, they wouldn't even have to be touched because they're concrete and there's not really anything wrong with it. And part of the bad curbing, part of it is in Easton. Part of the building is in Easton also, the hubcap store. The rest of this is up under the trestle, and I'll tell you what, you know what business I'm in, so I'm not going to go there, but most of that bad-looking sidewalks, in fact, our sidewalks all the way up to the trestle are good, we just put them in.
Right.
From above there, it would take a good weed killer to find out exactly what your problem is, because those sidewalks are stable and level.
You mean underneath the trestle?
No, above the trestle.
Above the trestle.
So I'm saying whatever the grant will bring us is a good thing. But if do we have enough money to have matching funds and stuff like that? Because a lot of the funny money that everybody was talking about during election time, if it's calculated right, you know what we got in certain categories, and that's the way it should have been presented, not as a lump sum how much money this borough has, because a certain amount of that money is delegated to projects, delegated to sewers. We just had Friday, I was brought into a public safety big time sewer problem at the firehouse, and I worked on it until 6 o'clock at night to get the engineers there at 7 o'clock the next morning. And they finally put a saddle on that thing, which is it's a sewer authority line, but it may be a cost for the borough for the saddle to put on the line. They're responsible for the lateral to the line.
Did they have a grease filled up?
No, it had nothing to do with grease, but their line in the parking lot has to be fully replaced. No,
They called in their own guy, their own plumber to fix it, right?
McDermott.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very experienced in that. I looked into his background too, and he's done a lot of big sewer projects, big time.
Well, that's a social club's sewer.
Line, yeah.
Right.
But the lateral is theirs too, to the main line.
Right.
The lateral belongs to them. The saddle for that line, which was completely disintegrated, belongs to us. So that's going to be a cost probably to us. One of the things that was discovered, and it's going to be a sewer authority problem, is that line is running almost 3/4 full. from the Wilson Borough sewage coming down.
Wow.
It's almost 3/4 full.
It's not our.
And that's another problem that's gonna jump up in the future. And, you know, all this stuff, you know, that I hear, I've been a part of over the years. And that sewer situation, and when people start pumping their chest about 300,000, and now it's 200, and what, take 90 off that 300,000, 240 some, 220, who the hell knows? And then $147,000 in the street fund, all that money should have been, if you would have done it right, and I'm not one for trying to make myself look better or anybody else look better. I was always about telling the people what we really are doing the right way. Sure, it totals up to $1.1 million, $1.2 million, but I explained about 163 and 40 of that money's. I'm covering a lot of comments here because it bothers the hell out of me that we have a very easily run borough here, but we're making it very difficult to run because we have so much infighting every direction. I'm not pointing at anybody. I was the first one to ask Kelly to leave. I was the first one to say, get your ass out of here at a public meeting. So, but her ownership is because everybody was depending on her to do it. No council people were not stepping up.
I don't want to interrupt you anything, but I want to make one thing clear. For what, 120, 15 years, when you have money left over from one year to the other, you roll it in, you explain what it is, you show what it is, you show where it's going. You just don't make believe it's not there.
No, that's not what happened.
That's what happened. I didn't see it. Where was it in the budget? He did the
No,
budget.
wait, hold it,
Where was
hold
the
it, hold it.
$1,200,000?
Here you go again.
No, I'm saying he did the budget. Let him explain it.
No.
Where was the $1,200,000 when you figured the budget? It wasn't
I'll
there.
tell you where it was. It was on the line item for police. That's
$1,200,000?
163. 40 was a shortfall.
No, I'll say you're skipping the you
No,
know.
wait, no, I'm not skipping that. You know when they rolled it over? After Wilson Borough committed, did not commit. Now we're stuck. I was there. I'm responsible for public safety, and I was trying to jump through hoops to save our asses in this borough for public safety. And that's why that money has stayed there until they decided to roll it over.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, it wasn't rolled over.
Then they spread it amongst other funds.
That was the only other funds they spread around was the 100,000 and 160,000 was the only thing they spread around.
We
They didn't.
Can we make a point here? Can we stand on a point? Are we going to be able to get anything done?
No.
Well, let's talk about the street for a minute because you know
That's the reason we're here.
Yeah, let's talk about Adams Street. We've been doing streets for years and years and years, and you know it, and I know it, that Adams Street has a concrete base to it. And we redid that street years and years and years, and we do it all the time. The last time that Adams Street was done is 1998. And all when you do is you rip it, top, and you redo it. You're not going to go in there and tear up all the concrete and railroad tracks for $400,000. Come on, that's ridiculous.
They're not going to do that according to what the engineer said. They're going to.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I didn't want to interrupt, but I would just look at page 3, the recommendation of the engineer, and from my standpoint, from my issue, and I would have to look at it, is the borough ordinances, and I'm sure that it requires homeowners to replace them at their cost.
Right.
So depending on where this is, I would just draw your attention to that recommendation, and from this standpoint, related to the borough ordinances, wanted to make you aware of that, and we shouldn't bear the cost, or the borough shouldn't bear the cost if we have an ordinance that allows homeowners or requires homeowners to do it themselves at their cost.
I know exactly what you're saying, Christy, because they got pictures of houses here, and they got pictures of steps, and that's the homeowner's responsibility.
So I would think we need to find which homes
You're
those
right.
are, and I can send them a letter and require them to do that. So
Right.
if we can coordinate those addresses,
Yeah,
I would recommend that.
you got a sidewalk here, that looks like it's on top of 7th Street, that has nothing to do with what
Honestly.
we're talking about with Adamson Street.
Well, let's talk about the street there before.
And an engineer to give us a cost, he's not a company that resurfaces the street.
No, Well,
So
yeah.
how can he give us an accurate, I
I mean,
mean,
that's how you start. That's
right, you start with an engineer, then you get estimates.
That's right, then you have to put it out for bid.
Yeah, but it seems to me like he wants to come in there and tear up
No.
down to the dirt.
What he wants to do, according to what I've been told, is take off the top surface, regrind it, and repave it.
Absolutely, that's the way to go.
That's what he
We've
wants to
been-
do.
we've been
But we never get there. We get into these pissing contests
Right.
because
Right.
Tommy don't like you don't like Tommy, this guy don't like this guy. I mean, why do we have a council? Why don't we just get 3 people off the street and let them make decisions? Because they'll make better decisions than this council has made in the last 4 years.
Let's have an agreement, Jerry.
I want-
Adams Street wasn't done since 1998.
Right, let's get it
Now,
done.
that's one hell of a, that's a long time.
And that's
And for
it.
that street to be in that condition isn't so bad for 1998.
No, but it's
It's bad, but it's for not being done since 1998. Come on, we can do it again.
it was the last street.
Right, we already went through that.
That was the last street.
Right.
Okay? So we know that. And that's why we're going there and try to retool our program and start over again.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how we have streets in West Easton that are still maintaining themselves because all those years we built streets where we were building with oil and chips. Every year. That's every year over a 7-year period. That's what we did. We got to the end of the 7th year. We started at the top of the list again.
Here's the records. Adamson Street, 1998, all of Adamson Street, 1,851 square yards. I got all the records.
No, sir. Well, see, this is what pisses me off, Dan. Instead of sitting there screaming at him and him screaming at you, pull back every so often and have a little decorum in a meeting
Right.
and sit here and pull that piece of paper out and say, this is what it takes. This is what we got to do in this town. This is the way you know it and I know it. And you know what? And I'm not going to go there.
Well, let me just say this to you, Jerry. When I'm away and I get an email that says, we have to have a meeting tonight, and I'm going to use the exact words of my email that I received. We have 3 days to send in a letter of
That
intent.
same email.
It's ridiculous. I got the email.
Well, and then the reason I'm here is to find out what that means. But we never got there.
Yeah.
You talk, I mean,
Letter of intent.
I'm not sure it's the same thing. I don't know. They say CIPP application. I'm not sure if that's what you mean by letter of intent. Is it? I don't know.
What was that again?
It says, time is of the essence since the preliminary CIPP application is due on the.
Yeah, that's
Is
the,
that the letter of intent? or
right,
is it
that's the
not?
letter of intent, which was done in June. And I explained it at the last July meeting, that we didn't have to do it. That's how I got the application. I wrote out a letter of intent to do Adamson Street,
that's
and that's
fine.
how we got the
But we
application.
have to get to that next step, which you just
Yeah.
said.
The CIPP, here's the CIPP application.
I'll tell you why nobody heard what you said at the last meeting. Because the
Yes,
same
they weren't
thing,
paying attention.
the same, no, it has nothing to do about paying attention. I want you to repay that tape.
It's on there. There was an argument that broke out.
That damn right it was.
Yeah,
There was an
over-
argument that
over the grant.
you and him start screaming at each other. Now, who the hell is going to hear that? Who's going to hear what you said? Who's going to hear what you said unless he's sitting right next to you?
Well, I even
I was
asked her.
trying to hear.
I even asked her.
I was trying to hear.
I said, I won't talk until you're finished talking. And she said, I'm listening. Well,
And here we go. That's what happened at the last meeting. You keep insinuating nobody heard you. The only reason nobody heard you is because everybody was screaming and
Wait a
yelling.
minute. When I said that, everybody was paying attention. I made clear that the letter.
Well, you kept waving a paper saying, here it is, here it is.
That's
here it is.
because it's like.
I can guarantee you, if he plays that tape,
I'm right. I'll go along with that.
okay?
Did you watch the tape again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was everybody screaming when I said that we had the letter of intent was handed
But we
in?
never
We
got-
were the first ones to do it.
Hey, you know what? And Jimmy Jankowitz said, Dan DePaul, he sat right there, he says, Dan DePaul didn't say that, I said it. Jimmy Jankowitz, right here. And if you want to go up to his house and ask him
Say what?
about the grant, he says, the only reason you brought that to the table is because I brought it to the attention of council. It's a matter of record. That's exactly what he said.
Well, I'm just wondering what is going to happen going forward if you.
Well, you can't go
be
forward,
addressed-
Christie.
No, I understand that with the grant, but.
I mean, I blew it up tonight, man.
Well, you know, I agree with Christie. We got pictures here that have nothing to do with what I put the letter of intent for. I made it clear, it was the entrance to West Easton.
That's
and
right.
Jerry
That's it.
said, the mayor said, Adams Street is an
That's
entrance,
exact- I heard that part.
and I made it clear. Now all of a sudden, we got pictures of 7th Street, we got sidewalks, we got
Well, at the last meeting,
steps, we got, I don't know what we, well, I don't know.
well,
what
it's just a picture of conditions. I mean, you made a statement about you took pictures, okay?
Yeah.
That would have been an appropriate time.
They're in the borough, go check the borough email, the pictures that I have
Well,
right
all I'm
here
saying is,
are emailed to the borough.
we're defending our position all the time instead of accomplishing what we have to do. And I'm tired of people defending their, I'm a result-oriented person, and I'm tired of this kind of demeanor at every meeting. Every meeting.
Gary, we had a meeting, and I agree with you. I said, we used to have a 7-member council where we got everything done by 7 members. Now it's 1 person.
You know, who put her in that position?
We talked about getting a borough
You know, it
manager
wasn't
a
until
long
recently.
time ago.
It wasn't until recently, even before, hey, I led the charge to get a borough manager last year. And when I told
Somebody didn't want that to happen. That's all I can say about that.
hey, nobody in this council, nobody, you got a council here that, or councilmen, all they have to do is make a vote.
Hey, explain this. We did in January. Let's hire a part-time borough manager. What has happened? This is July. Where's the part-time borough manager?
I don't know, but if I ended up on council, I'm a little concerned we're not going to have a borough manager when I get here. I hope you guys get that solved.
It's not going to happen if the council doesn't stand up and push the issue. You know, when we start pushing the issue, and you don't get results when you start screaming and yelling and accusing people, you get results by saying, I make a motion that we advertise for a borough.
We did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. My God, Nixon
No,
made it.
I think the motion to advertise was
It's
passed.
I don't know if it was advertised or we hire a borough manager. That's the point I kept saying to her.
I think she put it on some of the free, or some out there in some way.
Yeah, it's been out there.
In some manner, if it was electronic or,
I mean,
I don't know.
and I'll tell you what, anybody's watching his thing that would be a potential person that might want to come here, scared to death, come to this town to even try to be a manager.
Well, I've been sitting here for months.
I'll tell you
I haven't
what.
been saying
How would
much.
you
When
like-
he starts slapping the table, that's gone too far.
Hey,
I'll tell you, it doesn't bother me.
you what I'll do.
I can slap the table too.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Hey, you'll have an opportunity next year. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll resign and I'll apply for borough manager.
How much do you want?
I ran a $10 million operation for.
How much do you want to be borough
And
manager?
I'm telling you right now, I could run this borough because it's so damn simple. Jesus Christmas. And we go through this gyrations every meeting, and I walk out of here and I'm saying to myself, that's the reason I walked out, mainly because of arguing. It was building to a point with me, Dan, not just because of you. We go back a long time, and you know how far back I go with Sandy.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't even stand for this.
No.
As tough as she was, she would never even stand
Well,
for this.
that's when we had 7 individual
That-
council
that
members.
pushed the
Came
envelope.
with ideas.
Came
passed
with
it on.
idea. Thank you.
Boom.
That's the
Boom,
point.
You know?
That's the exact point. And the selling point's got to be made from the chair that people sit in, 7 of them. Whoever they are, next year, when it happens, your expectation or his expectation, whoever's the president, is the expectation. My expectation as president over the years was getting the feedback from the people that sit there. Somebody should jump on that thing and say, okay, we're going to advertise this in the Allentown Morning Call and the Easton Express. That's the next motion that should happen. Spend some money and advertise the damn thing. And make that motion, and I'm sure it'll pass, and it'll get advertised. That's what you got to do. We sit here, oh, we made a motion, and it hopes to get done. There's no pressure on to get it done, because they're so used to her picking up the pieces and doing what she does, that it never happens. And if you don't get any support from the floor, you get to a point that you feel like you're lost.
Come on, Jerry, I'm not going to talk about anybody because it would be useless to talk about anybody.
You don't have to
I'm
talk
not going to
about
talk about anybody behind their back either. But things aren't getting done because it's not a 7-person show. We used to have a borough secretary, we used to have a clerk, we used to have a borough manager. We were open from 9 to 5 days a week. Everything got done. You had a situation, went down to Don Frederickson. He would answer your question. We can't do that anymore.
Right. It's the point that I've been trying to make for a long time, and it's hard for me to sit here and let this kind of stuff happen meeting after meeting. I don't care if
I call up the borough office. Molly answers the phone, or he answers the phone. Did I call today?
Yes, you did.
I said, can I speak to Molly? You said yes. I told Molly the situation. The email doesn't sound right to me. We already put in for the application, the intent to apply. Oh, I can't take that. I can't take that message because there's only one person that can take that message. That's what the problem is. And when I called up here in December and I was out ill and wanted to be on the speakerphone, I called him again. He gave the phone to Molly because he said he couldn't answer that question. I said, I want to be on the speakerphone because I'm out of town and I don't feel good. I can't make it back. Oh, I can't take that message.
Well, part of the problem is the experience that we have in the office. Basically, they're doing what they can do.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. I've been around here enough to know what their capabilities are. Nothing against Dave and nothing against Molly.
Dave did the right thing. He passed it on to Molly, who's, I don't know if she's a clerk or a secretary.
Molly passes it along to Kelly, who has to answer the question.
She can't pass it on to Kelly. That's what she told me.
The way I understood it, Molly, the way I heard in the last half an hour, Molly was going to pass it along to Kelly. She asked it.
Yeah, Molly was going to pass it on to Kelly, but then when I said we already put the letter of intent in June, she brought it up again. The email, she didn't print the email. If she would have came in here tonight,
So you're arguing a point that I initially said. We're arguing a point of, yeah, that was done. And maybe she was going to say that if we ever got to that point. But the point, and I'm not defending her position. What I'm saying is that the engineer met with them at 5:30 today and told them what the approximate cost could be.
yes.
That's what she wanted to give you people, so that now, at this meeting, you could have made a motion to go ahead and get it up for bid.
Right, and like Christy said here, we got a cost of what it could be, but we have pictures of something that has nothing to do with Anderson Street.
That has nothing, that was just an example like you said about pictures.
Well, they want to redo curbs and sidewalks up the top of the hill? I don't know what the heck that's about.
I didn't know either. I had to ask Dave where that was, and now I know where it's at. So
Yeah, I can see it, I can know
it's
that
on South
house.
Street.
Wasn't that Josie's house right there?
It's that big mansion that sits up there.
Oh, yeah. And then this one here is like, well, the one on the front page, that's the
That's
second
it.
house or the first house?
That's that alleyway right by Mutchler.
Well,
Which was the Mutchler estate for years.
and then we got a driveway here.
That's Mutchler's.
What, you
Well, it
know?
comes on to 7th Street.
Yeah, that's right. That's not nothing to do with sidewalks and curbs. It's a
It's
driveway.
an example.
It's a driveway on Anderson Street.
I don't know, it's not worth me coming to meetings anymore. When you need me at a meeting, just call me. If you need me for a tie break, I'll be here. I don't have to be here. I don't have to be here as mayor. I absolutely don't have to be here. I don't have to come to one meeting all year. All I have to do is send a message. And I'll do that every meeting as long as you guys sit here. And if you have me for a special reason, I'll always just go to the phone and I'll come to the meeting.
Okay, you understand my point, Jerry? This is the points I was making. I agree with her, I agree with you, and if everybody sits here and just takes one suggestion and you don't give yours, what's the sense of anybody showing up?
Well, this is what I'm saying. We have to get a little better demeanor to go down the line and let people say their piece. I've already talked to Tom about this outburst, and I'm just saying tonight, I think it's the wrong thing, it's the wrong image we're setting for this borough. It's never been that way, and all of a sudden, every meeting, it seems to be built.
Yeah.
And one of these times, we're going to have a very serious situation here, and I'm not going to be a part of that. Okay? I'm at a point right now of, under my power, I can hire a policeman for public coming to. There's gonna be an outbreak here some night, when people are gonna stand up and all of a sudden their macho self's gonna get out of control, and then we're gonna really get a black eye.
I don't think that's right. I really.
Well, it happened, Dan,
I mean,
you
we
know
got-
it
we got-
happened. You know what happened. Don't go there. You know what happened, Dan. Don't go there. Twice I saw it.
Can I ask a question?
Up
Because
until now,
you-
up until my statement tonight, I've attended every meeting except if I was on vacation in 50 years.
Can I ask a question before you leave? Last meeting, you said, that, and you're right, that this money for the streets is going to be, it's already budgeted.
Yeah.
This is where my confusion comes in about this grant and all this arguing. Basically, if you get a grant, it's offsetting the money.
But I'll offset some of that money, yeah. The money that's there has been put in that fund from the state highway fund every year.
Right.
And it's got to the point that the $20,000 or whatever we got every year wasn't able to fix anything. So it has built over a number of years, okay, up to what it is now. What that does is it gives us like, I think it's 147, but I'm not sure. And if he gets a $50,000 on top of that, we can do a lot of major work. Under the trestle, down in Addison Street, we can do a lot of work, nice work.
That's why I don't
That's why I don't understand why everybody's arguing. Are you kidding me?
Hey, Gary,
It seems like there's a
this
maximum though. This letter's saying there's a maximum to the grant, right?
maximum is 50,000
Yeah.
match.
Yeah,
That's 100,000 total.
yeah.
Let's have an agreement here. I think it should be advertised how much it's going to do to grind Adams Street and redo it. We should get bids out now.
Well, you're going to have to bring that up at the next council meeting now.
Yeah, we could have done it tonight. I'll tell you what's happening right now. It's August.
Nothing.
Now it's going to be September, and you know what? It's not going to get done till your term. That's what happened.
Well, the Adams Street wasn't done since 1998.
Well, it's getting bad though.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'll tell you right now, when I sit in my second floor office down there, they hit a point down there and the whole damn building vibrates now when they hit that one hole.
I thought we had a 10-year plan that was.
All right, we done?
Well,